E, you got.
Welcome into the DNVR Avalanche Podcast. We've got Big E, we've got AJ, we've got Rudo coming to you live, wrapping up our Central Division series of positional rankings. We've done goalies, we've done defense. It's time to do forwards in the Central Division. Now, we've had some pretty clear-cut things. I think clearly we've seen Chicago at the bottom of the Central Division. Teams like Colorado, Dallas, and Winnipeg towards the top of the division. But, you know, the forward cores kind of separate the men from the boys in a lot of ways in this division. There is 12 guys is a lot of guys. I'll put it to you that way. It's the majority of your lineup, even if, you know, maybe there is more importance in a single position at goaltender, or you have defensemen that are going to play significant minutes. The bulk of a lineup is a forward core. So we've talked about this before, and you know, maybe AJ and I think a defense might matter more for a team as a whole. Talk about it as a connective tissue. But at the end of the day, scoring goals is the objective of a hockey team.
Yeah,
so
you got to score. You got to score, man.
You can't win if you never score. It matters quite a bit. And we will see, honestly, across this division, there is a ridiculous amount of talent at forward. You know, even a team like Chicago has a Connor Bedard at the top of that list. Regardless, I know everyone likes to say, oh, well, Connor Bedard, not as good as he was built. Okay, he's still a really good forward. Like, it's interesting to me that we ended up in this Thunderdome once again in the Central Division. It seems somehow, some way, the Central Division always finds a way to be incredibly competitive.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a mark of well-run organizations. You know, like these are. When's the last time St. Louis like bottomed out and rebuilt? You know, Colorado rebuilt and turned themselves into an animal. Dallas did the same thing. Dallas, obviously, like Dallas didn't really have like a true bottoming out. They sort of just transitioned into a different era because the little bit of lotto luck with a guy like Miro Heiskanen. Thanks for not taking Kill McCarr. You know, like it's a competitive division. Minnesota's never really like that bad. They just find a way, right? And this last year, that was part of what was so shocking with Nashville, is that like they were terrible, but they really haven't been bad very often over the last 10, 15 years. So, you know, Colorado's bottoming out, Chicago's bottoming out. Those are like the real low water marks for this division for a number of years. And Chicago did it after winning 3 cups in 6 years. You know, having a borderline dynastic type run that every team aspires to. So it's, you know, like there's no like the top of the end of the division has kind of, you know, it comes and goes a bit, but the bottom of it just rarely is. You're looking at it going, this is terrible. You know, like it's a lot of like, hey, they end up drafting like 9th, 10th, 12th, like that type of area where, you know, even Winnipeg's couple of down years before Connor Hellebuck decided to go Super Saiyan on everybody, it's not that bad. Like Cole Perfetti was drafted what, like 9th or something? Like that's where a lot of these teams live, is right in that area of There's not a lot of bottoming out. It's just consistently solid and occasionally exceptional.
And
I
Chicago,
mean, I think,
right?
Yeah,
Chicago, obviously. 3
Yeah,
cups, and then it's okay. Kind of like the Avs 1.0 to 2.0, right? You know what I mean? It's like at some point you got to do it, right? You know what I mean? Or you're going to be like AJ just said, and kind of like it's not that bad, you know what I mean? But you're not going to win it. Where the Avs the last 4 or 5 years, a lot of people say, yeah, they're going to win it, right? You know, and I honestly believe that people believe it too, right? And I think Dallas. I mean, if you look the last couple of years, oh yeah, they're going to win it, right? So I think if you look at within your own division, especially if you win one year, the Avs did in 2022, then everybody gears up for it, right? Because they're like, okay, if we want to get through, we have to get through these guys, right? You know, it's a little bit like Avs 1.0 in Detroit and Dallas, right? You got to go through one another to get out of the West, right? And at some point, what are you doing to bolster your lineup? You know what I mean? And that's what Chicago's doing right now. You know what I mean? Because there won't be like that, you know, after a few years that we're thin. You know what I mean? So now you're thinking, you know, with the lottery of Bedard and, you know, all the draft picks that they have, they're going to turn things around. And then, you know, and that's the beauty of it. But you're right. This division is a monster. It's always been a monster for the most part. And then it was bad for a little bit. But, boy, it's going to be tough to get out of there. You know, especially a couple of years from now when you're looking at, you know, the exercise we're doing right now, which is fun. And, you know, I mean, from goaltending to D to forwards, wow, it's pretty good.
You look at some of these top teams. The Avs haven't missed the playoffs since 2018 or 2017, really. It's, you know, coming up on year 9 in a row that they would make the playoffs, whether that's, you know, a wild card or whatever. Dallas, maybe not quite as consistent before the COVID stuff, but they've missed the playoffs just once since the COVID year. You look at a team like Winnipeg, also perennially in the playoffs. There are some have-nots in the division, Chicago, Utah. But even those, you look at as maybe not Chicago quite yet. The rest of the division is trying to turn the corner. Yes, Nashville had a downturn, but even me, who was the biggest hater of Nashville of all time, knows they're a better team than they played last year. Like,
yeah.
So it really is a division where I don't know that there's going to be a ton of surprises, but you don't look at any single team except for maybe Chicago as an easy out this season.
Yeah. And Chicago is, as we've talked about through what is our third day of this now. Chicago is, if the kids step up, if Spencer Knight really becomes a number one goaltender, if Lev Shinov is really a number one defender, Chicago's a much tougher out. Like, our conversation surrounding Chicago could be very different come game 82.
Yep. We'll go alphabetically as we normally do, but we can start with the Avs again if we have just them, Tiff. Look, we've had a lot of conversations about do they split up MacKinnon and Nate, just do they keep them together? I just threw them together for the start of the season. I think it makes the most sense for them to start there. We'll see how it actually plays out. But you look at the Avs top 6, and assuming health, that's a pretty unimpeachable top 6. Yeah, maybe you like Lehkonen on the second line and want Nichushkin up on the top line. Sure, whatever. But you have 4 really solid top 6 wingers, and you have a true superstar in MacKinnon and a legitimate 2C in Nelson.
Yeah, can we just not have to spend a lot of time trying to look at whatever line combinations there are? A lot of guys are going to play with a lot of guys for all of these teams. There's going to be movement. Very few of these lines are going to be set in stone and then just stay that way. Guys are going to underperform. They're going to have other lines that don't play well, where they're going to try and use one of these guys to try and, you know, let's get it going a little bit, jumpstart it. Yeah. So I just don't want to spend a lot of time getting like really lost in the whole
read it more
line
as
combination.
These are their top 6 best forwards. Don't worry about the lines.
These are the tops. These are likely going to be the top 6 ice getters for from the forward core by the end of the season, barring, you know, health. Yep. So I think that, like, you have to feel really good about this. Between Lehkonen, Landeskog, and Nichushkin, you've got three guys who have shown very good two-way play in their careers. They battle. They're monsters along the wall. Like, you feel great about that. MacKinnon and Natchez are elite puck transporters, and Brock Nelson has a string of 30-goal seasons under his belt recently. Not like it happened 8 years ago. You know, like 3 of his last 4 years. He's arguably the best goal scorer outside of MacKinnon on this list. He's the weakest link on this. I would agree with chat that he's the weakest link in that group, but when
And
you're
the weakest link
rating
on this group could be a 30-30 guy. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like you're talking about a guy that could reasonably score 30 goals for you as like the worst player. Like, come on. You're in such good shape there. Like, you feel good about where Brock Nelson's game is today. You're worried about aging curves and all that. Yeah, but that, like, I feel like I've said this a number of years, but you have to feel like this is the best guy since Kadri left.
I would say pretty comfortably. There was the Johansson experiment was always going to be an experiment.
Yeah.
We just lived in that, and unfortunately didn't go well. The Middlestat one, I think there was a lot of hope for. Initially, it worked well, and then it fell off a cliff. But Middlestat's ceiling is not Nelson's ceiling, especially mechanically when you're looking at a goal scorer versus a playmaker.
Yeah, which the way that Brock Nelson plays is a much better fit than what Middlestat ever was. And his goal scoring is really important. He brings a lot of size, then he uses it well. I mean, he's not a guy that's going to put up 180 hits or anything, but he's big. He's hard to move out of the pivot. He's solid in a lot of. He's not great defensively, and he's not very good at faceoffs. So he's a little redundant to MacKinnon in that respect. But really, I mean, we're you have to feel really good about this group. You have to feel like this is one of the top groups in the NHL.
This, for me, is as good as it gets. On those 6 there, you got some skill, you got some scoring, you got some size, you got some speed, you got some smarts. You're getting everything right now that you would want in a prototypical top 6 guy. Lecky brings the brains, Marty brings the speed, the scoring. Mac is the best player in the league, right? Landy is just an absolute warrior. Nelson, like I said, if that's the weakest link, then wow, the Avs are in great shape, right? Because Nichushkin, when he's on, right? When he's the real Val that we know, and he makes a difference in the lineup, you're talking about tentacles on the forecheck and size and speed. That's as good as it gets. I'm not only in the Central Division; it's as good as it gets around the National Hockey League, and that's what makes the Avs the Avs. And you said at the start of the show, defense wins championships, absolutely, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to put that little rubber thing there in the mesh net, right? You know what I mean? And some teams over the years, like you can tell, they just can't. LA Kings, they can't score. They can't score. They defend well, but at the end of the day, where does that get you? You know what I mean? You got to be able to put the puck in the net. So that top 6 gives you the ability to check, to skate, to score, to defend, for the most part, obviously. And it's all a buy-in, too. So I think you're seeing a top 6 there that's tough to beat around the league.
Let me ask you guys something. Do the Avs have the best defensive wing group in the NHL? You have Lehkonen, Landy, and Nichushkin in your top 6, as Nichushkin maybe fall off a little bit, but still very good defensively. You look at their bottom 6, too. You have a Logan O'Connor. You have a Parker Kelly if he ends up on the wing. Even someone like Ross Colton has solid underlying defensive metrics. Yes, as AJ mentioned. Yeah, Kikranta too. Their centers, especially their top 2 centers, are not great defensively, but you look at their wings, and it's impressive how strong two-way they are.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's an important thing to note that Landeskog did a lot of defensive center duties for a long time when he played alongside MacKinnon as well. So whichever guy he ends up playing next to, Nelson or MacKinnon, he's going to do a lot of heavy lifting in that area. It's going to make them better. defensively than they were because of just who he is as a player and what he's always been really good at. So I think Landeskog is Landeskog and Lehkonen are both like just erasers. They are problem fixers. They just fill in whatever gap you need for both for your lineup, and both of those guys excel at doing all the little things at a really high level.
Yep. It's good stuff. The Avs forward core feels like it's in the best place it's been in a good long while. Do want to compare them to some of the other teams in the Central, but we do need to take our first break of the show. So let's make sure we're doing that. And just like when you have Landeskog out on the ice to play a little defense for you, make sure you're choosing chill. Get yourself in with Coors Light today and choose chill for yourself. Whatever the situation, Coors Light, always a fantastic option, whether you're grilling out in the backyard, maybe you're enjoying a little picnic outside, or maybe you're just hanging out on your couch watching the game. Wherever it is, the mountains turn blue on the bottle or the can to let you know it's ice cold and ready to drink, and you can get it in pretty much every liquor store in the country. But if you want to get Coors Light delivered right to your front door, head on over to CoorsLight.com/DNVR, and you can get it thanks to Instacart. It's that easy. Right from your phone, right on your couch. You can get your Coors Light delivered. You don't have to do anything special. Of course, Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. Jump in. When you embrace a chill mindset, it's always a good time to choose chill and crack open a Coors Light. So once again, make sure you get your Coors Light delivered. Make the most out of the times you choose chill. And Coors Light, thanks to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. And Instacart, of course. Get it delivered to your front door. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Please drink responsibly. Of course, once you had a Coors Light, once you chose chill, once you're relaxing, make sure you're also getting the best deals on tickets when it comes to sporting events and concerts and theaters. It's all through Game Time. You can join over 15 million people that get their tickets through Game Time. And when you download the app and sign up today with code DNVR, you can get $20 off your first purchase with Game Time. Of course, terms do apply there, but you can use all of their different features, whether it be last-minute ticket deals, the section selector, or the Game Time Picks feature, where you type in whatever you want to search for tickets-wise, and they'll only show you the best tickets for the best prices. It's a fantastic way to find tickets and great deals. In fact, Game Time even guarantees you the best price on tickets. If you can find tickets cheaper somewhere else, they'll reimburse your account 110% of the ticket price. So jump in with Game Time today. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app and use that DNVR code for $20 off your first purchase. Tap Ticket Go. Download the Game Time app today. All right, second period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. Let's jump in with Chicago here. Look. Yeah, it's we're going on a third straight year of waiting on Chicago to build correctly around Bedard. Now, regardless, again, I think I probably like Bedard a little bit more than my two co-hosts here. But Teravainen's fine. He's a fine player. I don't know if he should be on your top line. Is this their real lineup? Doesn't matter. Yeah. You look at that top six. One, Nazar has to be successful after the contract they signed him to. And then their wings are better than they have been the last couple of years, I guess, but I would not say that they have true top-end guys on the wing.
Yeah, I mean, Bertuzzi is coming off a 46-point season.
Yeah.
You know, Andre Burakovsky had 10 goals in 79 games last year, and goal scoring is his number one. Like, that's what made him so valuable in Colorado. That's why Seattle gave him that money. Like, you know, like that. Like, there are some concerns here. Yeah, I fully expect Nazar to be better than the 26 points that he had last season in 50 some odd games. But how much better? You know, he needs to be 50 plus, in my opinion. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Like, this is such a low ceiling top six right now. Like Teravainen's kind of is what he is, you know, and Ryan Donato is coming off a 30-goal year. Is Ryan Donato going to do that again?
Probably not.
I always thought Ryan Donato was a bit of an underrated, like, depth goal scorer. He could always score, but 30 goals is a lot, man. That's a lot of goals in the NHL in one NHL season, and I guess I'm just not buying stock that that's real. And the supporting cast just isn't very good. So, this is a group that, like, I don't even know if it'll look like this by the end of the year.
Yeah, I
Where
assume
where
that
do all
it
the
won't. Yeah.
yeah where do like the Oliver Moores, come into play? I don't know where like that. I guess I just don't know the configuration and what their plan is with a lot of their youth, because they have so much of it that it's not easy to just be like, oh, well, they're going to put that guy there. Yeah. But if you look at their bottom six, like their bottom six largely gets to guys that you're like, I'm not playing that guy in the top six. What are you gonna do? You're not playing Nick Foligno or Sam Lafferty, Jason Dickinson, Ilya Mikheyev. You're not putting those guys in the top six. So there's not even like a lot of like, oh yeah, that guy is coming up. There's very little of that in that lineup, and that their top six is full of like middle sixers at best, other than Bedard.
That's what we talked about. You talked about yesterday, right? You're slotted wrong as a player.
Yeah. Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and that makes it so tough to produce. Or the other part is, and I'm not saying that's what Ryan is, Donato, but like good, the expression "good player on a bad team." You're producing on a bad team, on a team that doesn't really matter if you win or lose. So you're taking some different types of chances. But again, more power to him. He did produce last year. I thought he had a great season. A lot of times you see him in the lineup more on the bottom six, right? Ryan Donato over the years. And maybe that's where you can produce to, at a certain level. And it's easier to produce at times because of who you're playing against, right? But with that said, Bedard, is Burakovsky really a number one liner? No, we all know that. But Bedard's going to have to do his share, too, of learning to play the right way. And, I think Chris Scheifele said it today. I saw that online. He said he believes Blashill is going to be good for him, a little bit like Scotty was with Stevie Y, right? There's a way to, instead of getting 140 points and not making the playoffs, maybe there's a way to get 80 points and winning Stanley Cups, right? And I think that's what they're saying, that he has to buy in. He has to buy into that, or they'll never win. We said earlier, defense wins championships. The Avalanche have a buy-in. They do. From the top player to the bottom player, they have bought in. They have figured out how to win in a playoff series. I'm not telling you they've won, since I'm saying that you need to check. You hear Bednar talk about this all the time. So I think Bedard's going to have to learn that. This is not the old cliche in hockey. It's just the reality of hockey, right? You want to be just a highlight player, or you want to be a player that wins, right? So there's a big difference. They say he's a great kid. They say that he wants to learn. So, I mean, if Chelio said Blashill can really help him, then more power to that. And hopefully that's what happens. The league needs, those kids to be superstars, and, the Celebrinis and Bedards. And so, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's again, are we still beefing with CHGO or whatever? Because this is like, this is not very good, top six, you know what I mean? So it's not very good.
I think there are some realities setting in for Chicago, and there is some truth to the idea, the same thing we talked about with their defense. Some of their young kids might pop off this year, and that maybe changes the trajectory a little bit. But realistically, are we expecting Chicago to be competitive for a playoff spot this year? I'm not.
No.
When I look at their forward core, I don't see how they could be. And maybe some guys improve, but what they've built isn't good enough. I think that's the reality. And you can expect a bunch of turnover this year again. And I'm sure they would absolutely love to sell off a Burakovsky at the deadline or something like that. But eventually this team is going to have to turn the corner. And until they do that, they're going to end up with another D tier ranking from me.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate. I want to believe that Connor Bedard is really, really going to get it going, but the environment that he's in is just like, which of these guys is going to help him take his level to the next game?
Yeah, I'm not sold on any of them.
Exactly. I just don't.
Nazar backing him up at center is their best bet right now.
Yeah, and like if Ryan Donato ends up as their 2C, and they moved Nazar to play alongside Bedard. Okay, is that I guess the infrastructure there, it just isn't there to really bring out the best in Bedard for me. So yeah, I think it's a D.
Yeah, I'm with the Av side of it. We didn't put a ranking on them. Do they make it to S, or is this an A tier forward core for Colorado?
I think their top 6 is an S, and I think their bottom 6 is like a B. So average, if we were to average that out, I would put it at an A. But their top 6 is definitely an S.
Yeah, and I think Chicago, I agree. That's a D.
Okay,
Get out the show
D for Chicago. Are you on board the A rank for Avsy, or do you think they deserve S?
Well, no, I like the way AJ put it. You know what I mean? Like, there's a big disparity between the top 6 and the bottom 6, obviously, as it's in a lot of teams, right? But the top 6 is elite. You know what I mean? Can we put them in E, elite, and then I'm kidding. A's fine. A's fine.
My only thing with that is I think the top 6 ranking should hold a little bit more weight. So maybe I lean slightly more S because, not that your bottom 6 isn't important, but your top 6 is significantly more important. Your top 2 lines are going to play 40 minutes ish every night. So
we talked about it with the defensive show yesterday. Like your top pairing is your most important pairing. So if you have an elite top pairing, your third pairing is a little weaker.
Yeah.
So
what? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like it's fine. So if you really wanted to put them in S, honestly, I think that's fair enough because the top 6 is going to do most of the driving of the bus.
S minus maybe. We'll slot them in and we'll see how we feel about it at the end. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Dallas. And this is going to be the one where the Colorado Avalanche podcast has to keep being mad that Dallas is a really good hockey team.
Yeah.
Look, top line really good. Rantanen, Robertson, Johnson. That is 3 really strong hockey players. And then you look at a second line of Hintz, Duchesne, Seguin. Sagan's a question mark with some of the injuries he's gone through portions of his career. I think there's question marks on how long can Duchesne keep doing it before he falls off the aging curve. But assuming they can keep playing at a reasonably high level, this top 6 is also very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, Rantanen, Robertson, Johnston, Hintz, Duchesne, 30-goal guys.
Yep.
Like, and Seguin had 9 goals in 20 games last year in obviously an injury-plagued season, but has been very, very good for them. Like, come on. I want to hate on Dallas as much as anybody, but come on with this. And the crazy thing is, any of Johnston, Hintz, Duchesne, Seguin can play center. You've got 4 guys in your top 6 that could reasonably play top 6 center role. And I think their top line will end up being Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen to start because Duchesne and Seguin had such good chemistry with Mason Marchment last year that Johnston might even be their third line center if they wanted to trot out like a Jamie Benn to get that same kind of style of player. But there's also no denying Jamie Benn had a disastrous postseason.
He kind of might suck now. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, and like you can't just like roll him out. He had a 49-point year last year. So it's like, okay, like, all right, if he wanted to play the same kind of role that Mason Marchment played on alongside Duchesne and Seguin, okay, great. I could understand that. And then Johnston is your 3C. He's the ultimate luxury at 3C. I mean, Jesus. But the question, like, Jamie Benn had 1 goal in 18 playoff games. He had 3 points and looked as bad as those numbers are. Like, their top 6 is awesome. It's awesome. The reality, though, it's kind of a quiet reality, is that they bled a lot of talent from their bottom 6, and suddenly, they lose Dadonov, who had 40 points. Mason Marchment, 40 points. And I know there were a lot of people that were like, oh, Marchment needs to be gone from Dallas. too many penalties, playing a little recklessly, but he also gave them that identity. He was a guy that drew them into the fight. He brought a lot of passion on a nightly basis when the Stars were lacking it. Marchment would bring it out of them. That, I mean, I think that's an underrated loss for them, especially to replace, like, is Sam Steele, Maverick Bourque on your third line? Maverick Bourque was a top AHL player, a high-end prospect. He could be a really good player. He just has to break out. He just needs the ice time. He needs the role. Hasn't earned the trust from the coaching staff yet. Maybe the new coaching staff will be willing to give him a little bit more of a leash, but their bottom six dries up really, really quickly. Jamie Benn has to continue. Jamie Benn has to continue being a 40-plus point guy for that bottom six to really stand a chance. If they do have Wyatt Johnston on that third line, like, is pretty good. If they put him in the top six, what exactly is the alignment? Where do they go? You know, like, you're getting into Oscar Back, Roddick Faxa, Colin Blackwell. Like, these are fine players, right? They're fine. But they're all hard bottom six guys. These are not guys that are going to greatly overperform the way that they had last year with the Donov had a 40-point season. I ran through this list already. They lost a ton of production out of their lineup. Not to mention Mikael Granlund is gone.
Yep.
Like, that's a ton of production. And look, Roddick Fox is, like, really good at what he does. But he's big. He knows the Dallas system really well. He's an effective fourth line center. He wins a lot of faceoffs. Good PK guy. He had 15 points in 70 games last year. Like we're talking Oscar Back, Colin Blackwell. These guys played over 60 games, scored in the teens. We're talking a bunch of Parker Kelly type players here. Are suddenly, Nathan Bastian also is in there. Like, I guess the top six is as good as it gets. It really is. It's fantastic. But their bottom six and that depth that has been such a special component for them isn't there right now.
Agree. E, what's your take on it?
I was gonna let you go to your reads, but
Yeah, get it in quick. We're good.
All right, no, I agree. I'm not that much. This is not hate of Dallas. It's more I'm not that much in love with their top six. Like, let's say AJ or whoever, like some fan bases. I'm not saying they're bad. I always try to go, like, I don't know why. Maybe I'd just go back when I was a player and looking at the board and the lineup was there, and then I'd be like, oh, does this scare me? Or, what I mean? Oh, they don't scare me, I would say that on the left, that scares me. On the right, I'm not saying it's bad, but it wouldn't scare me, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're that good at the top six compared to the Avs. And again, you're going to say, yeah, you said that about the decor yesterday too. Yeah, I agree. I thought the Avs were a little bit better. And at the end of the day, they ended up losing the series again, right, to Dallas. So at the end of the day, yeah, that's paper, that's graphics, whatever you want to call that. You got to go and play the game. But if I'm looking at it, they don't scare me as much as, and I'm not saying it's wrong. That's just my pure opinion. Like Maddie and Henson, they do say, and like, I don't know. Yeah, they've been great. Are they going to keep being great? I don't know. I do like Rupe Hintz, I'm not going to lie, and I love Mikko. We all know that.
I'll get my thoughts after the break because I do have a couple things I want to touch on, but we do have to hit that second break. Oh, did my camera break? No, we're fine. It's good. Look, when you look at, I mean, I don't know. Our basketball people in our chat, maybe not. You probably should be, though, if you're from Colorado, as we have the Gold Crown Foundation. I grew up playing basketball as part of the Gold Crown Foundation. I wasn't in gold. I was part of the feeder teams in, like, Silver Crown. I wasn't that good. But still, Gold Crown was there creating these leagues, doing it for teams from 4th to 8th grade. It's an awesome program if you haven't had the chance to check it out. They're competitive basketball leagues. They also have club teams too, whether it's at a high level or elite, or you can play in open leagues. So it's a great way to get into the sport, and you can play in great high school gyms as well as the Gold Crown Fieldhouse, which you've never been. It's a super awesome building. They've got 6 different basketball courts. It's a big high energy program. It's a great way to get in on some sports as a young kid. It's a great time to find teams in your area if you haven't already. They have over 18,000 kids that they serve annually in the Denver metro area. So jump in. It's not just basketball either, although that is their main thing. They also do volleyball, golf, girls flag football, and a bunch of enrichment programs as well. So go check them out. They even have scholarship programs on their website. Head on over to goldcrownfoundation.com. There's also that QR code right on screen to get hooked up with Gold Crown and set up for an awesome little event for your kids or someone else's kids or just the kids in general. Go check them out. And then, also, if you're taking your kids to Gold Crown, you're probably going to need a vehicle. Why not the official vehicle of DNVR in Toyota? They're also the official vehicle of the Colorado Avalanche. You can jump in with them, find a vehicle for you no matter what, whether it's a truck, an SUV, or a sedan. They've got them all, and they've got 17 different all-wheel drive vehicles. So if you're like me and like the security on the roads, that's great. Or if you want to go off-roading and have some fun, they've got you covered there too. And the best part is they've got a bunch of hybrid and zero-emission vehicles, so you can save a little bit of money on gas. 16 different hybrids. In fact, they create more low and zero-emission vehicles than any other automaker combined. So they're great at what they do. Jump in with them. Go get those trucks, SUVs, or sedans. They even got the iForce Max hybrid Toyota iForce Max Tundra. The Tundra, that's the one. They got trucks that are hybrid, even if that's your thing. Head to your Front Range Toyota stores, including AutoNation Toyota, Arapahoe and Centennial, Corbin Toyota in Boulder, Groove Toyota, Littleton, Mountain States Toyota in Denver, Stevens Toyota, East Aurora, and Stevenson Toyota West in Lakewood. Again, Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Let's go places. Third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast. First off, shout out to Melanie in the chat, donating to the Big Brothers Big Sisters. We're running it all month long, basically. Supporting a great organization that helps out a bunch of kids. It's awesome. You can see it on the sidebar of the show. If you want to help donate, help be part of a good cause, and help a bunch of kids, Big Brothers Big Sisters is a fantastic way to do it. You can also become a big if you want to interact directly with the kids and be a good influence out there on your community and a bunch of children that need the help. So go check it out. Go support Big Brothers Big Sisters. They're an integral partner of DNVR these days. So we appreciate you, Melanie, and everybody else who's donated, and keep it coming for a good cause. All right. So here's the thing about the Dallas Stars forward core. You guys have already mentioned bottom 6 definitely took a hit. I think a hit in a way that you feel worse about it than you do maybe with the Avs. Yes, the Avs lost Jonathan Drouin, but they essentially immediately replace him with Gabe Landeskog. A pretty easy slide-in replacement. And then you look at what the Avs did through this offseason. They brought back Kiviranta. They were able to hang on to Brock Nelson. They did not lose too many pieces beyond Jonathan Drouin. And then they also add someone like a Victor Olofsson, which regardless of how you feel, helps flesh out that bottom 6 in a way that, maybe in July we weren't feeling as confident about. Whereas Dallas hasn't plugged those holes as well in their bottom 6. And then I start to think about, okay, what happens when Rantanen goes ghost for 20 games? Not that I don't love Rantanen, not that he isn't going to be a point-per-game player, but we know the ebbs and flows of his game throughout a season. We've all seen it. You start to wonder if the downs might be a little bit too down with that Dallas core at times. But I have Avs right on the border of rank S. Dallas in the same spot, better or worse?
I think the top 6 is fantastic. For me, I think the top 6 is awesome. I think that there's an aging concern with Duchesne and Sagan, but it's the same concern that you have with Nelson and Landeskog. So
fair.
Fair.
I am comfortable saying that they're basically in the same place on the forward core, which is, frankly, that's a win for the Avs because this used to be a clear win for the Stars. And it feels like the Avs' overall forward core has caught up with them.
Close the gap.
I just think from the Game 7, from the playoff series, the only meaningful loss is Charlie Coyle for the Avalanche. Like, they lose Jonathan Drouin, but they replace him effectively with Ross Colton, who did not play in that series. So don't give me 7 minutes. Don't do that. Like, that's the role that he was playing. Colton is now in that same spot. Otherwise, like, your depth is pretty much the same guys. Olofsson will now potentially be on your third line, and Drury on your third line, and like, you need a fourth line center. But Charlie Coyle is like your one loss that you're like, well, we don't know how much we've actually replaced him. Yeah. Jack Drury does that job, then great. You really haven't lost much. They lose Ryan Lindgren off their defense. They add Brent Burns. For me, that's a win.
Yep.
Like a clear-cut win. So the same just isn't true for Dallas. They lost so much. And their defense, we talked about it, that their defense is pretty much the same, or that their defense needed to add on the right side. It's subtracted on the right side. There's no Cody Ceci. There's no Matt Dumba. Those guys suck. That probably helps. But they have no cap space. The Mikko Rantanen commitment, they have no cap space to add to any of this. So they kind of are who they are, and I think I would say their top 6 is an S tier. It's elite. It's fantastic. Their bottom 6 is pretty pedestrian right now.
Shout out Jackson for becoming a member of the Supporters Club. We appreciate you. You can sign up to become a Supporters Club member here on YouTube. You get access to emotes and some of our behind-the-scenes content. Tiff last week went around asking everybody at the bar to spell people's names. Spoiler alert, some people are bad at spelling people's names. Go check out that stuff. Become part of the Supporters Club. Gun to your head, which of these forward cores is better?
I'm going Abs. I am. That's just me. I can't go back to what I said a few minutes back. You know what I mean? Like, if is that out of spite? No, that's really how I feel. That was a fair point by AJ when he said Landeskog Nelson. You know, it's kind of the aging Duchesne Sagan. I get that, but I'm sticking to the Abs here. This is not biased. This is just honest opinion on where I feel those 6 are. Now, does that mean that they suck on the right? No, that's not what I'm saying. Do I get it? Why people say they love them? Yes. Do I get why people say they're picking them to win the Stanley Cup? Yes, I get it. But that's not my pick. You know what I mean? And I'm sticking to the Abs on this one.
All right.
We'll put them both. Think an important distinction: Nathan MacKinnon is the best player in either of these, and I think it's by a pretty healthy margin. And that's a thing. Somehow I've completely glossed over that in all the talking I've done about these two teams, but a really important point. He's the best player.
It's a fair point. I guess we'll put them both in low S tier with the Abs ahead for now, and we'll think about it in the end. Moving on to Minnesota. This one was hard for me. You can see I put a couple of question marks in the graphic. Rossi's going to be in their top 6 this year. It's just where. You have Kaprizov, obviously, as their true superstar. Boldy's been great for them. Does Eriksson end up being a 22-minute-a-night guy, or is he more of an 18-minute-a-night guy? And then I truly have no idea who their 6th best forward is. I threw Tarasenko in there, but it could be like 3 other guys too. But all of it does feel like there's a couple of dudes that are overstationed again in this lineup.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong about who's the 6th guy. Like, because is it Vlad Tarasenko, like, who had 33 points last year? The former tank goal scorer elite in St. Louis. He had 11 goals in 80 games last year. Is it Marcus Johansson? Marcus Johansson had 11 goals last year. Are they going to move Ryan Hartman back to wing? He had 11 goals last year. Is there another guy that I could name that has 11 goals? Because that's honestly just sort of weird. Yeah, like who do you pick here? Eriksson is awesome as like a two-way Like, this guy does all the dirty work. He's super effective defensively, really good. Rossi, I have no idea how a player that's 5'9" like is as effective as he is as a center, but he's good. Kaprizov is elite. I've been on the Matt Boldy train for many years, probably annoyingly so. Matt Zuccarello, I keep waiting for this guy to hit the aging curve, and he's just like, no, man, I'm really good. Sorry. But this is a B squad to me. Like, Kaprizov,
Yep.
you could argue that Kaprizov would elevate it to an A because he's that special, he's that good. But everybody else around him is a B. It's like, yeah, that guy's good. That's a good player. That's a good player. But you run out of good players pretty quickly. And the depth is nothing right now. It's nothing.
I don't know how you can give it an A because of the centers. And maybe Marco Rossi finds that next gear this year and turns into a true 1C. But right now you have Eriksson, who isn't really a 1C, and Rossi, who, regardless of his usage in Minnesota's weirdness last year, just hasn't proven that he's that guy yet. And center is too important a position to go into a season and give a team an A for me with that question mark.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, and I think they're a little bit of a victim of their, right, the Suter Parisi buyouts, right? Over the years, and this is it. Now they're out of there, right?
Yep.
They're done. Yeah, they are done. Yeah. Eriksson, one of my favorite players in the National Hockey League, as for what he is, for
Yes.
not what he's not. He's not even top six. I believe he's like the best third line center there is, right? He's a checker. He plays top. You know what I mean? I'm almost rude when I say that, but I mean, on a championship team, like if that's your third line center, like, oh my God, you're winning, right? You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
The offense is just not. He's too good. Like on the other side of things, he's too good at checking that. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't rely on him for offense, but they do because that's what they have, right? But it's just, yeah, you're right. Some good players, but not Boldy. Love him. Kaprizov, he's one of the most underrated or unknown superstars, right, in the league. He is. He's that good. That guy's a machine. Again, he was not there last year for an extended period of time. The Wild did fairly okay. I mean, I know they went down a little bit, and they still managed to make the playoffs. But he was a big part of their team, and he is the heartbeat of their team. Now, exactly, it doesn't wowsy me, woo. It's just, yeah, there's some good players. Like Zuki is a good player, like the little hobbit, they call him, right? Big Avs fan, by the way, growing up in Norway. At that too, yeah, it's true. At that 2001 video, you know what I mean, of the cup winning, you know what I mean? I grew up watching. He says it all the time. That's pretty awesome. So don't boo him anymore. Just clap for him. Yeah, I think they're just. I think it's just phenomenal that they make playoffs. You know what I mean? And they never really kind of went that below. You know what I mean? Like, again, I think Billy does a good job, Garen. I think. I mean, I can't count them out because they have good players and they do have a superstar. Now, is that an A group? No. But they do have a superstar, Kaprizov.
It's an organization defined by the letter B. They get a B. They're always passing, but they're never really great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to great, right? There's a book, Good to Great. That's a good team.
Yeah.
This is why they don't bottom out. Is because they consistently have, like, they're solid. They're never terrible.
Yep. All right. Down to throw them in B. Moving on to Nashville. Okay, I guess we could do St. Louis first. Also fine. I don't know what to do with St. Louis's forward core. I've always really liked Pavel Buchnevich. Robert Thomas is really good, but I don't know that he's great. They kind of have an empty. You think he's great?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to nitpick on that one. I am more going to nitpick of who's the sixth forward because I don't really know. The Shen Holloway Kyrou line was really good for them last year, but is Jake Neighbors really the guy in their top six to round it out? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, is it is it Jake Neighbors? Is Jimmy Snuggerud going to come in there and steal that job?
Yeah.
The trade of Zach Bolduc away is for Logan Mailloux. This is where it hurts
Yep.
because they could have had Snuggerud and Neighbors and Bolduc fighting for that last top six job, and then on that third line, the two of those guys would have been left over on your third line. You feel really good about that. I don't feel amazing about this. Buchnevich, I'm with you. I have long loved Buchnevich, and I kept hoping that St. Louis would get bad enough to be like, all right, we're gonna move him. But this is like a solid group here. Dylan Holloway. Oh my God, that guy caught fire last year, and all of a sudden he's awesome. They play hard. They play with some physicality. They have a little nastiness to them, and they've got a lot of skill. I really like this group. I think that the top end is underrated. I think Robert Thomas is maybe the most underrated center in the NHL. Really, really good offensively, drives play, very good defensively, participates in all assets, all aspects. Jesus, of their lineup. They are they just do. He just does everything, and I think that they're really well built, well rounded, and I think that their high end is higher than they get credit for. I like this group a lot. I would say this is an A group for me.
The only thing I'll say to add to that is I think Monty's done a fabulous job there, and I think he gets the most out of a lot of players. And I think you're seeing it with Holloway. You're seeing it with Thomas. You're right. Is it going to be Neighbors? Is it going to be Snoggerud? Yeah, I mean, somewhere, somehow, this is, I would say, an underrated group. If you're asking people on the street, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think they would call them one of the best groups in the Central Division. But then when you look at it on paper, I agree with AJ. That's pretty solid, man. You know what I mean? And it's like underrated. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind giving them an A. Honestly, I wouldn't be against it.
I'm fine with that. I do think they have a little bit of a goal scoring problem. Their only guy to break 30 goals last year was Kyrou.
Mm-hmm.
They do a little bit too much for me, and this has been true for years, to be honest, with St. Louis. A little bit too much of scoring by committee. I worry about who's going to really show up and put the puck in the back of the net consistently.
And they have a little bit of like what the Avs have with with like Lehkonen, Nichushkin, Landeskog, of like physical, like really solid two-way guys. But how often are they going to just cleanly beat a goaltender? It's not that often. A lot of it is really hard-working goals, and you struggle to replicate those in bunches. Like the really skilled guys are your goal scorers most of the time, and if you're led by guys that have to work really, really hard to get goals like that, it can be like they go through long dry spells. When it's working, they're it's great, right? And they have a lot of that. So when you mention they're scoring by committee, I think I would echo that feeling.
All right, we'll throw St. Louis in A. Are we going Nashville or Utah next? Who's next in line? Nashville. All right. Run back around. This is if you looked at this top six 5 years ago, you'd say, oh my God, this is unbelievably good. when you look at it today, it's still good, but is it all that good? I don't know.
Yeah, this is a top six that I think is also largely in flux because I am not buying that Stamkos is going to play center. He really shouldn't at this point. Like they don't have very many options to actually play there, so I get it. And this is like I think they're going to use this year to kind of figure it out. Like which of their young guys is Svechkov going to be a guy that steps up for them? I do not know what they're doing with Eric Halla in their forward core. I really don't. That was such a weird trade for me, but Like, is Zach LaRue going to take a step forward, or is Matthew Wood going to get a job? Like, I don't know if David Edstrom is coming over, a recent first round pick. Like, I just don't really know what their plan is for all the young guys that they have that could be in this mix. So this could end up being a pretty good group by the end of the year. Right now, I don't like it very much. I mean, Evangelista's fun and he's interesting, but you know, he had 10 goals last year. Like, it's only so
But
fun.
you're right. It's more on reputation. You know what I mean? Like so Marchie, obviously Cup winner, Conn Smythe. Ryan, Conn Smythe as well, right? Yeah, Cup winner,
Yep.
Conn Smythe. Right? Forsberg, pretty elite player, obviously. For years there with a mustache. Stamkos, Cup winner, no Conn Smythe. But so you're really they're winners, but their best years are behind them, right? You know what I mean? And that's what it looks like. Bunting, Evangelista, whatever. Bunting is a plug, as you know, with all the respect in the world.
You could put 4 names in that spot, yeah.
Yeah, that's he works hard and whatever. I wouldn't say if I'm describing him, I wouldn't say he's a top 6. So right away you're like, okay, but he does complement top 6 guys well where he's been, right? In Toronto and wherever he's been. So I get it. But it's more, God, if they don't get going, which they didn't last year, then you're gonna have a very mediocre year as a team, and that's what happened. They were awful, and all those guys had tough years. You know what I mean? Like they did. So, no, would I like Ryan with the Avalanche again? Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You like Ryan with the Avs because he'd be a 2 or 3C here, not a 1C.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah. And he can play those hard minutes, but again, that's not where he's at right now. So, yeah. So let's maybe he's the answer for the Avs. I don't know. 3C. I don't know. And then who knows?
This feels like a C out of respect for the careers a lot of these guys have had, and like, can these guys really be that bad all at the same time again? Because if they can, then this is a D. But I'm willing to put them in C under the idea of it was just a really weird year. Everybody had a bad year. It'll be better. And I've seen some of their on-ice shooting percentages, and some of them are astronomically low.
Yeah,
like you're like, what in the world is this? So, I'm comfortable with C.
I'm good with C2 because of that, and also because Philip Forsberg is awesome. He's really, really good.
Yeah.
It was trying to drag the team to relevance last year, and if they get anything more out of these other guys, anything.
Yeah, I mean, he had 31 goals last year, 76 points. Nobody else for them breaks 60.
Yep.
Like, that guy is, I'm Philip Forsberg. What a fun player he is.
Yeah. Guys with the name Forsberg. I guess, I don't know. Anton Forsberg's not that good. I take it back. Put him in C. Move on to Utah. I don't. Yeah, like it feels a lot better than I thought I'd feel about this forward core at the start of the offseason. Obviously, Peterka moved doing a lot of heavy lifting there. I'm still not Barrett Hayton's biggest fan, but it feels like a decent top 6.
Yeah, I mean, you got to the heart of it immediately. Barrett Hayton, 40-point player.
Yeah.
Like, that's your big concern. Clayton Keller put up a 90-point season. The guy's elite. He's awesome.
Yep.
Logan Cooley, he takes another step forward. Ooh, that's a big problem. JJ Peterka, like him a lot. It's a good player. Needs to diversify his game a little bit. Sure. Schmaltz is fine. He's okay as a top 6 guy. He's fine. Hayden, as mentioned, Dylan Genther is basically the next superstar, just kind of hiding out right now in Utah. I'm so in on Dylan Genther being a superstar. I think I think the world of him.
He can certainly score goals, that's for sure.
Well, what we've seen with these guys over the years is Keller, Schmaltz, same, get paid on projection, right? You know what I mean? And yeah, he's just got some points, but you got to make playoffs at some point. You got you got to carry your team into the playoffs, and that's something they haven't done. Gunter, whatever. That's the same thing. Got that big contracts now. It's on projection, right? So it's like, all right, now you got the money, you got the contracts, you got the core, but Paterka now adding to it, and Cooley's going to follow, and Hayden obviously just, I don't want to say a bust in the sense that, but for a high pick, he's not going to be a guy that's ever going to give you that amount of production that maybe should give you like a top 5 pick, right? But right there, they're just good players. They have to do it when it counts, and they haven't done it yet.
I mean,
when it counts.
Going off of vibes, this is the first time I've looked at their forward core and go, yeah, that feels like a playoff forward core.
Yeah, I think their top 6 is legit, man. Their lineup runs into the wall pretty hard, pretty fast, but that top 6 is legit.
But yeah, I'm not saying they're competing for a cup. I'm saying you look at the 2017-18 Avs, and it's like, yeah, all right, if their top line can just drag the team every single night, they can get by.
Yeah.
They have enough firepower, I feel like. I wouldn't go so far as to put them in A, but I think they're definitely B.
So they have an elite player in Clayton Keller, and that makes me want to put them higher than Minnesota, which I believe we put in B.
Yeah,
they don't
ahead
have
of Minnesota in B. I'm good with. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's their bottom 6, like Alex Kerfoot and Lawson Krause. Like Kerfoot's okay. He's carved out a solid career here. Lawson Krause had a nightmare year, where it all went wrong for him. Like he bottomed out in a bad way. Jack McBain is like solid, and their fourth line is a bunch of guys that probably shouldn't be in the league. So there's some room there for guys that can actually, take a job here or there, some of their kids to grow up, and maybe get some ice time. But yeah, I mean, the top 6, I'm a big believer. I would put the top 6 in A, but I'm not going to win that debate, so I'm happy with B ahead of Minnesota.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll sit that there. We are in overtime here. Last, certainly not least, Winnipeg's forward core, which, I mean, Jonathan Toews is a 2C. Are we really doing this?
I honestly, like, is Nino Niederreiter a top 6 guy at this point? Like,
I could have there were like 3 guys you could put in the Niederreiter spot too for this team.
Well, that's the thing, though, is that to start the year, Vlad Nemestikov, who was their 2C last year, is going to have to be their 3C because Adam Lowry's hurt for, I think, through December. Into December, I should say.
It's a significant injury.
Gus Nyquist, big fall off. Alex Iafallo, 30-point guy. I just you have Niederreiter here. I think you're correct to have Niederreiter here, but I just don't know. They don't have a better option there. And Jonathan Toews, guy who hasn't played in years, is your de facto 2C coming out of the gate. And if he's not, then Nemestikov is your 2C, and you have Niederreiter, Nemestikov, and Perfetti as your second line.
Yikes!
Stop. Yeah, stop. Like, that's not good. And like, I really like Cole Perfetti, but that's not good enough. Like, this is a little train wrecky right now for a team that was first in the Central Division last year. This doesn't look good at all.
Yeah. Top line, I think, is still solid, assuming Scheifele doesn't fall off the aging cliff. But it goes to show how important those interconnective pieces are to a forward core. Losing Ehlers has just made it really, really tough on Winnipeg because they were already a bit thin at the center position. And then you lose those key pieces around your weak centers and you go, where did everything go?
Yeah. Sorry, go for it.
No, I was saying, like, Velarde is an underrated producer in my book. You know what I mean? Like, kind of, you know what I mean? Took a little bit of time with his bad back there to kind of get going over the years. But I think he's an underrated producer. Mark Scheifele is Mark Scheifele to me. Connor for me is an underrated. I love him. That's like one of my favorite players. I don't know if it's because he just looks like a hockey player with the mullet. And, you know what I mean, I don't know, but he's a skate. He can score. I love him. But then it falls right off. And Jonathan Toews, a big fan of his all those years. Where is it at? I mean, they're plugging him there because they have to plug him there, right?
Yeah.
And so did we. But where is he at? I don't know. Just like we said the same thing. That's not disrespectful to Jonathan Toews. It's just like we said about Gabe. Where is he at before the play? We didn't know, right? And again, we still don't know. He played around, right? So we'll see how it goes. But it's hard when you miss a few years with an S. So yeah, that's for me. That's this. I'm going back to the Dallas Stars. Like, does this scare me? This does not scare me. It just doesn't.
It especially doesn't scare me because anybody that paid attention to underlying numbers will tell you that the Jets forward core was a gigantic mirage last year, and that Nick Ehlers was doing a lot of heavy lifting of propping up their depth scoring and driving play for them. He gone. Who's going to do it now? Because their top line loses the territorial battle more often than it wins it. Mark Scheifele was like 47% in Corsi last year. Like, they rely heavily on their power play for their production. If they do not have a high-end power play, they may not be very good offensively.
Yeah, I think that's a fair concern. They have the best goalie in the league in the regular season and a really strong defense, so like they get away with it to some extent. But there are serious concerns in this forward core that they haven't had for a couple of years, in my opinion. So I have them in B, but I have them at the bottom of B. I don't know if you guys are willing to put them in C or not, but
yeah, it's tough because the top line is productive. You're talking about 97 points for Kyle Connor last year, 87 points for Mark Scheifele, 61 points for Gabe Vilardi. But then your next line, those three guys combined for 87 points last season. Obviously, Toews had 0, so that's like, haha.
Yeah.
But it's not like there's a obvious reinforcement all coming. There's an obvious replacement there.
Right. I
ran through the list of guys. There isn't a clear-cut better player that you're putting in there. So I would honestly lean towards C, but if you wanted to put him at the bottom of B as a fair compromise, I'm with it.
E, you're the arbiter.
All right, I'm going to go with bottom of B, just because of Kyle Connor.
Fair enough. He's awesome. I love him too.
All right, well, we'll put him bottom of B. Fair enough. You need true superstars in your forward core to compete in this division. Full stop. And then on top of that, you need good depth. Otherwise, you're going to look as your forward core is mediocre at best in the Central Division. That's the reality of the skill level. You're not going to skirt by like some of the weaker divisions in the league, which I won't name. But there you go. At least we did it again. We got at least one in every tier. Avs and Dallas, I think, for every grading, Avs and Dallas are the clear-cut top two in this division. A mix of Minnesota and Winnipeg, I think, probably are next in line, but maybe you can throw some of these other teams in here. Yeah, Minnesota, except for they never win anything, neither of them. So, oh well. That's it. I don't know. That's all I really had on the list. Anything else you guys want to add on forward cores before we get out of here?
I'm good.
Okay.
We'll talk about bottom six another day.
Yeah, we can deep dive some bottom sixes next week or something, or maybe later this week. But that's all we're going to do for today. We appreciate y'all. Always fun having a a deep dive into the Central Division. Lots more stuff coming your way. We got a couple more shows this week. Next week, we'll get into some prospect stuff with the rookie face-off right around the corner. And then it'll be preseason time. We'll be talking run up to the season from there. So get in. We appreciate y'all. This has been the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, and we will talk to you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.